Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Combo Breaker 99. I'm back with another post-fight analysis video. All right, y'all. Man, Manon Fiorot versus Tabatha Ricci. Man, Manon Fiorot, she went in there and she got it done in 2 against Tabatha Ricci, man. It's exactly how my prediction went. And I told y'all, if I could predict a fight like this and feel confident, somebody's getting outgunned. Somebody might be outsized and they're just going to straight up get outclassed. I mean, this is different than trying to predict Caitlyn versus Viviane Araújo or Antonina versus Andrea Lee. You know, those fights are closer in levels. But this fight here, I knew that Manon Fiorot just packed too much size and firepower for a strawweight, for a natural strawweight who's never experienced a UFC fight before. This was her debut, y'all. So to me, I just knew that this was going to be too much for Ricci. I knew some people felt like Ricci could make it interesting if she went on the inside, but that was a big if. That was a big if because Manon just used her side kicks in this fight like I said she would. You know, she just used the longer reach and just the size, the combinations, and just her firepower was just too much. And the crazy thing is, whenever Manon Fiorot went in, she went in close. Ricci still couldn't get engaged in the clinch because he was just getting dogged out. Every time she would try to step in, she would just get bumped back, shouldered back, you know, and you could just see that Ricci, whatever Ricci was going to try to do, it was just going to be nullified. You know, even taking it to the ground at this point, I felt like if the fight did go to the ground, I felt like Manon Fiorot just would have controlled it. But overall, Manon Fiorot, she just went in here, controlled the fight with her firepower, you know, switching levels. I'm talking body, head, legs, ripping Ricci wherever she wanted to until finally, you know, she settled into the fight and said, look, I got to close the show. This girl's much smaller. I got to look good and close the show. And she did that in round 2. Very impressive stoppage win for Manon Fiorot. Real quick, let's go back and look at the first round, though. Right away, Manon Fiorot, she just came out with a side kick to the body. That side kick to the body, knocking Ricci back. And right there, I said that reach is going to be a problem and that power is going to be a problem. She just started applying nice pressure, using low kicks and high kicks to throw Ricci off. Ricci right away, you could see that she was going to have trouble with the speed, you know, because she just kept stepping side to side. You could see that she was just eating a lot of hard kicks to the stomach. And Manon just was really settling in. You know, she was coming forward flat-footed, confident that Ricci couldn't bang with her. You know, Manon was in that southpaw stance, just landing her right hook as well. Every time Ricci would try to step in, the right hook would come over the top. Ricci tried to switch levels, but Manon, she just easily brushed that off, went back to walking Ricci down. Manon backed Ricci to the fence, landed a nice left body kick and a right head kick combination. That was nice, the way she just hit that body. She hit that body and came back over the top with the right head kick. And I thought it was going to be a head kick that was going to be the knockout blow in this fight. I really did. I think eating that combination and just the way they were coming so fast and the way she was just being so unpredictable is what really made Ricci respect Manon from here on. I mean, Ricci tried several times to go in for a clinch, but she just kept getting bumped back, controlled by the sides. Ricci did land a few nice right hands in the pocket whenever she would step in, like she would kind of, you know, bull rush in and throw the right hand. And she did clip Manon a few times, but not enough to get any respect, you know, nothing to hurt her. So really, she really couldn't get anything going because every time she would stop, a barrage would come from Manon Fiorot. So she just had to keep moving. I mean, Manon just ended the round nicely with more straight left hands, just dominant with the straight pressure and power. The second round, Manon to me was really reminding me of the welterweight champion in boxing, Errol Spence Jr., the way she just had that stance and pressure. You know, she was just coming forward a lot more comfortably, boxing, just measuring well, letting those left hands go, and just ripping the body with kicks. You know, she was just switching levels with combinations and just controlling the pace of the fight. Manon really looked comfortable, just looking for the finish at this point. She knew that she had Ricci outgunned and she had her respect, so she just continued to just walk her down, look comfortable, looking for the finish, clinching and wearing Ricci down. Like she actually went in for a clinch, and it was like Ricci didn't want it. You know, Ricci didn't want it. And then she cracked Ricci with a few more right hands. Ricci outgunned, like I said, trying to reset. But she couldn't because Manon, every time she stopped, Manon would start landing. Like every time she tried to stop and, you know, catch a breath to pick her shot, she couldn't because Manon was just too fast for her. Ricci outgunned. I mean, from here, just more right jabs, straight right jabs down the pipe, just wearing Ricci down, and then a few more leg kicks from Manon. I mean, I will say Ricci did land a few shots here and there, but every time Manon landed a couple of her shots, she would pressure in, land some good elbows, more right hands. And finally, after several good hard southpaw jabs, Manon lets off a 3-punch combination. And with that right hand, that last right hand blasted Ricci and dropped her. And Manon, like, she just starts firing off. I mean, Manon, she holds Ricci's head back. She's like holding it up like at the top of her head. She's like holding it back and she's unloading right hands. And then she just like hammers her as she's getting up. She's just really busting her up. At this point, Ricci's busted up and bloody. Manon gets back up. She gets the back of Ricci and she just unloads shots. And one more barrage, the ref stops. Ref stops it. Herb Dean had to stop it, man. It was just vicious. I mean, going back to that knockdown, like when she scored that knockdown, she was really looking for some accurate shots. Like she just didn't like let go like wild winging shots. She actually held her head like she was the Predator or something, you know, just started like letting big shots go to the head of Ricci. So I was like, wow, this is brutal. This is brutal. I mean, shout out to Ricci. She took those shots and got back up, but you could see like the punishment she took, and then she took another barrage. So I was like, yeah, you got to stop this fight. You got to stop it. I mean, there was nothing Ricci had in the bag that was going to work in this fight. This was just brutal. Brutal seeing a fight. Brutal seeing a fighter just beat from corner to corner like this, but still a great showing by Manon. Like I said, I got to give her credit for the performance. I mean, but you know, for the skill and the performance. But of course, this isn't like a high level opponent. But I still got to give her credit because I think her striking and her size would give any flyweight on this tier trouble. It don't matter who it is on this level, like unranked 11 through 15. I think her speed and just overall style would be trouble for anybody. Especially that side kick, which she uses like a jab. You know, vicious fighter who attacks on all levels. You know, definitely still feel the same that she would have stopped Marina Moreau in the same fashion. Honestly, man, from here, you know, I know a lot of people say they can't really give Manon Fiorot a lot of credit yet because, you know, hasn't really fought anybody yet. But you got to give her credit on what she looks like because she does look a lot better than a lot of the unranked fighters on this level. Like 11 through 15, I think she's showing much more promise and she shows much more of a threat and much more discipline than a lot of these fighters because it's still like a roll of the dice with a lot of the 11 through 15 and even like below, you know, 2 through 10. It's still like a roll of the dice with any of these fighters. But I think she has a style that's going to take her far because she's committed to it. You know, that's what I got to say about Manon Fiorot. But as far as who's next, shoot, Andrea Lee. I like to see that fight. I like to see Andrea Lee versus Manon Fiorot. Tabatha Ricci, though, you know, this girl still has a lot of promise in my opinion. This was just a wrong move for her. She's still growing as a fighter. And in my opinion, she hadn't got to this level of competition, you know, even for the strawweights. If she was a strawweight, I still feel like she hadn't got to this level. Number one thing, again, you know, she's a strawweight, too small for this weight. So, you know, just forget that part. But I think even if she was to fight at 115, she would still she would still have some trouble. You know, I know the plus side is she's now a UFC fighter, but is that really worth it at this point? Is that really worth it? I mean, some of these young prospects, to me, they're kind of rushing into the UFC when they get that reach out, you know, from Mick Maynard or whoever calls them from the UFC at this point. It kind of makes me think, like, are they just ready for the fame? Are they just ready to wear that UFC uniform? Like, should they answer the call this fast, especially if it's going to, you know, come at the price of a loss or like a setup, if you will, you know, and you got to think you're going to be taking damage too. Like, I think some of these fighters, you know, they kind of rush it. I think they do kind of rush it sometimes. I know they feel the UFC might not call them back, but I'm sure that if they grow as a fighter and build a resume and popularity, the UFC is going to call you. The UFC will definitely call you. If you establish fighter, they'll call you. You know, it depends. I mean, it will really depend, but I think for some girls like Tabatha Ricci, since they do have the look and so on, if she wanted to take her time and get a belt in LFA or somewhere else, she could grow, you know. I mean, Ricci, just saw her last month. You know, I just saw her last month, you know, looking like a legit prospect, which I, you know, like I said, I did a video about her back in April. And I felt like she just needed to be moved right because she had a lot of promise. You know, she's not the type of fighter you just throw in there on short notice out of her league. You know, don't feed these fighters. Stop making food out of some of these prospects. That's what it all comes down to. You know, it's like in boxing. You don't call a welterweight to fight a super middleweight or a light heavyweight. I just think some of these young fighters, they need to grow a bit before jumping into the UFC because even the lower tiers in the UFC are going to be sharks. They're going to be real sharks. But yeah, guys, we'll talk about that more tonight in the live stream. Like I said, who do y'all want to see? I want to see Manon Fiorot face off against Andrea Lee next, Tabatha Ricci. Going back down to 115 for real, but, you know, even there, you got to tread carefully. You know, still got to take some time to grow. Combo Breaker 99, I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.